Before starting this video, I do want to give a shout out to my patrons that support the channel. And if you'd like to support the channel, there are some great benefits for you if you want to look at the Patreon link down below. So with that out of the way, let's get into this week's video. What's going on YouTube? This is Devin coming back at you with another video today on Pups Up MTG. Glad to have you here. Today we're going to be upgrading my personal favorite Precon out of the set for March of the Machines. We do have Calvary Charge. There's a lot of powerful things going for this Precon, so let's break it down. Let's talk about some of the good cards in here. Let's also talk about some upgrades I would choose. I did want to mention this before I started the upgrade. All these cards are going to be TCG mid pricing of the date I posted this. Also on top of that, I will mention more expensive cards at the end of the video, just in case if you wanted to have some extra cards in there that you feel like would be really good with the deck. However, let's go over the commanders in this deck. So we do have Sidar Jabari of Zhalfir, and also we do have Elenda and Azor. I do like what's going on with this pairing, but I do feel like Sidar Jabari of Zhalfir is the better commander, so we're going to focus our effort around this commander right here. Obviously the Elenda and Azor could be in the 99 for sure. It has a great ability we want to utilize. The Eminence ability is very tame compared to other commanders in the past. I'm talking about You Are a Dragon. But whenever you attack with one or more knights, if Sidar Jabari of Zhalfir is in the command zone or on the battlefield, draw a card, then discard a card. It does have flying and first strike, and whenever Sidar Jabari deals combat damage to a player, return target knight creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield directly. So both of his abilities feed into one another. With his Eminence ability, you can discard a knight so that you can reanimate him later. So we're actually going to go with a knight theme in this deck because we definitely want to utilize that ability right there with our commander. But let's first talk about some of the Precon cards that come in the box directly and some you may want to keep in there. So we do have a great value engine with Chivalric Alliance. Whenever you attack with 2 or more creatures, draw a card. That's pretty simple right there. Also, you can pay 2, discard a card, create a 2/2 white and blue knight creature token with Vigilance. So this card is a great value engine, no doubt about that, because we can get some card draw. And on top of that, also that pay 2 and discard a card is actually a benefit for us because we definitely want big knights in our graveyard so that we can reanimate them with our commander. So this is a great card to add to this list for sure. Another card I did want to mention was Exsanguinator Calvary. For 3 mana, we have a Menace lifelink, and whenever a knight you control deals combat damage to a player, put a 1/1 counter on that creature and create a blood token. So this card's definitely going to provide value for our deck because we have a lot of knights swinging in and dealing combat damage, and when they do, we'll get 1/1 counters on them because of this card, and also we'll make blood tokens. Blood tokens are very good for this deck because they have that ability of pay 1 and tap it, discard a card, sacrifice this artifact, then you draw a card. So we have that great ability so that we can discard a knight so that we can reanimate it later with our commander. I know I'm going to mention that a lot, but a lot of these synergize with our commander so well, we have to have it in here. Another card I did want to mention in here is Voldalian Wave Knight. For 4 mana, we have whenever you draw a card, put a 1/1 counter on each other merfolk or knight you control. So as you can see with this deck, we're going to be drawing a lot of cards, especially discarding them to the graveyard. So we're going to be getting so much value off of this. We're going to buff up our knights so much because of this value engine right here with our Eminence ability, with our commander, and the 2 cards previously like I mentioned. So the last new card I did want to mention in the Precon that's absolutely fantastic and could be a game ender is Herald of the Hoofbeats. So this card right here has horsemanship, and other knights you control have horsemanship. So what's really great about this card right here is the fact that essentially your creatures will get unblockable as long as they're knights. I mean, kind of unblockable as long as your opponents don't have horsemanship. You'll essentially swing away with all your knights and then be unblockable right there to your opponents and deal a lot of damage to them. After overlooking this Precon, it is a very aggressive deck. You definitely want to be combat oriented in this deck right here. So let's focus on some upgrades we want to add to this list. Again, it's going to be $100 to upgrade this deck, so no more than that. So a notable card that's in the March of the Machine set would be Marshal of Zhalfir. I don't know the price of it yet, but since it's the uncommon, I'm pretty sure it's going to be cheap. But other knights you control get +1/+1 for 2 mana. That's great value right there. And plus you can tap another creature for paying mana into it as well. Another card that actually just came out in the new Phyrexia set would be Skyhunter Strike Force. This is a great card overall in here because it does have melee and lieutenant. So of course it has that great ability of lieutenant. As long as you control your commander, other creatures you control have melee. And when your creatures have melee, they'll get +1/+1 until end of turn turn for each opponent you attacked. This is definitely an aggressive card for an aggressive deck. I also did want to mention Knight of the Even Legion just for 1 mana at the beginning of your end step. If a player lost 4 or more life this turn, put a 1/1 counter on Knight of the Even Legion, and on top of that, it does have a pay into it. It gets a +3/+3 and gains Death Touch until end of turn, so you can surprise your opponents when attacking them. So this is definitely a great card in here for sure. A while ago when we had core sets, we did have core set 20 with the Cavalier cycle. We have Cavalier of Night, Cavalier of Gales, and Cavalier of Dawn. Each of them providing great value, like Cavalier of Night, destroying another target creature as long as we sacrifice a creature, and also a reanimation effect on top of that. Cavalier of Gales giving us some card advantage, and Cavalier of Dawn essentially destroying a target non-land permanent. Obviously they'll get a 3/3, but that's not a big deal if we destroy their Ristic Study. Also on top of that, we can return a target artifact or enchantment from our graveyard to our hand as well, so this is going to provide great value. Also, I did want to mention some tutors. I know tutors are kind of frowned upon in casual pods, but I do feel like these will make your deck more consistent. So we do have Unmarked Grave, Entomb, and Buried Alive right here. These are all at great prices right now, especially Entomb used to be up to $30+. Again, if we swing with our commander, we're going to return a knight to the battlefield, so why not get it more consistent? Why not put a specific knight in the battlefield that we want to put in there so that we can reanimate it? I did also want to mention a card that I'm not sure what the price will be. It could be pretty expensive, could not be. It depends on how popular this Knight deck is, but we do have the Invasion of New Phyrexia. Also, if we do flip this, we also do have the Teferi Planeswalker right here. So of course we could just pay into that mana right there, sink it in there so that we could get a lot of knights on the battlefield with that front half. And on the back half with Teferi, we get an awesome emblem. We just have to -2 with him, so we can do it right away so that our knights get +1/+0 and have ward. And on top of that, his +1, draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards unless you discard a creature card. So honestly, this would be a great fit right here because of course we want to put cards into our graveyard with our commander so that we can reanimate them. So I'm not totally sure what this price is going to end up as. I don't know if it's going to be a bulk mythic or not, but definitely would be a great include for sure. But honestly, there's not too much that I would add here that's expensive because it's actually a really good precon out of the box. I'm actually pretty impressed with what it does with the Knight Tribal theme right here. I would say I would add in more efficient spells and also more efficient mana bases in here. I would say if you're going to invest in anything in this deck, it would be efficient mana bases and efficient spells like removal spells and counter spells. But obviously, overall, this is a great product. However, that's going to do it for me, guys. Thank you guys so much for coming by and watching this video on an upgrade with Cavalry Charge. I do feel like, again, like I reiterated before, this is an amazing product right here. I like this a lot because it's not your typical Esper list. This is a very aggressive strategy right here. I like it a lot for what it does. However, let me know down below, what are your thoughts and opinions on this commander deck? Is there some things you would add or change differently in this deck? Let me know down below in the comments. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And with that out of the way, thank you for stomping by.